a great morning so far. So today I want to talk to everyone about meal planning for our first full week of the group together. So at first, meal planning can seem very overwhelming and daunting, and you have all these recipes that you want to try, but here is my advice to you. Keep it simple. Meal planning is so simple and people tend to overcomplicate it. So today I'm going to break it down for you, okay? So one, we need to figure out what our calorie target is. So take out your meal plan. So I'm going to use the hammer and chisel as an example, okay, for this video, but take out your meal plan. It's important that you actually open it, right? So take it out, and then you're going to go to the section that has you figuring out what your calorie target is going to be. So if your goal is to lose weight, you're obviously going to calculate that out correctly. If your goal is to maintain, I still want you to calculate what your calorie target is going to be, but you just won't have the deficit of the working out portion of it. Now, number two, once you have figured out what your calorie target is, that's going to translate into a container category, right? So the next step is figuring out what container plan that you are supposed to be on. So typically my calorie range is 1,200 to 1,499. So I'm typically always on plan A, or the first plan in any fitness program. So I know I'm always going to have 3 green, 2 purple, 4 protein, which is red, 2 carbs, which is yellow, 1 blue, which is healthy fats, 1 orange, which is seeds and dressings, and 2 teaspoons, which is typically things like nut butters, okay? And olive oil, coconut oil, things like that, okay? So I know that those are going to be my daily containers per day. Next, so number 4, right, is going to be going into each container category in our booklets. So each container category has its own dedicated page. So the green container for veggies has its own page. The purple container for fruits has its own page. And what I'd like you to do to make this super simple on you is to pick 3 to 5 food items from each container category that you would like to eat. Because let's be honest, we want to be able to enjoy our food. But I also want you to pick a couple from both the top of the list and the bottom of the list. So the top of the list is more of the nutrient-dense food. That's the food that's going to keep you fuller longer. And listen, I understand. I am not a kale eater. There's definitely certain fruits that I'm not a big fan of. So I kind of pick and choose what I know that I can like and what I can spice up, because spices are everything, right, when you're eating healthy. So try to choose a couple from the top and the bottom. Another thing that I want you to be paying close attention to is the amount or the size that it allows for a serving. So for example, in your fruits category, a star fruit is 2 medium, or a watermelon is chopped. Apple is sliced for 1 small apple. So if you're having a huge, large Granny Smith apple and it's bigger than, I would say, like your fist, it's a pretty big one, or the big Honeycrisp apples, I would say a half is 1 purple container. And a banana, for example, half of a banana is 1 purple container. An entire banana is 2 purple containers. So just be very cognizant of that. Another group I want you to pay particular attention to is the carbs. So when we're getting to the carb section, again, try to pick a couple of options from the top and from the bottom. I know that it can be super enticing to say, okay, I'm only going to eat tortillas, bagels, English muffin, pancakes, waffles. Okay, yes, they're allowed, but let's just say in moderation, especially if you're trying to lose weight. You want to eat more of the nutrient-dense items at the top of the list, okay? And again, pay attention to the size. So waffle, it's a whole grain waffle. It's 1 waffle. It's not 3 waffles. And a bagel is a half of a small. And a tortilla is a 6-inch tortilla, not a tortilla the size of your face. Okay? So pay particular attention to the size and the servings for each one of these categories, just to make sure that you're getting the correct amount. You don't want to overserve yourself, and you also don't want to underserve yourself, right? So the next step, so step number 5, is going to be looking at your recipes. So every nutrition guide comes with a series of recipes, and my advice to you on the recipes, especially if you're first starting out, is choose maybe 1 or 2 recipes a week, new recipes that you'd like to try from the nutrition program. My biggest mistake when I first started out was I thought I had to make all of these recipes every single day and eat all of them in order to succeed. And really, I just was overwhelming myself and setting up myself for failure. So, for example, the almond crusted chicken and hammer and chisel gives you an entire breakdown, obviously, of all the ingredients and how to make it, but it gives you the container breakdown over here at the top. So it gives you an idea of what an actual recipe consists of container-wise, so that when you're making stuff, you can get a good idea, eyeball it, say, okay, it'll have a bunch of greens in it, so that's 1 green. If it has 4 ounces of a protein in it, that's 1 red, something like that, right? Down. Step 6 is to create your meal plan, right? So my advice to you, again, is to kind of create your meals based off of your containers. So what I typically do is, if I want to have a breakfast, let's say, I am not going to try to make an omelet. What I typically do is some scrambled eggs, a fruit, and 1 slice of whole grain toast, right? So that's 1 red, 1 purple, and 1 yellow. I don't try to make fancy meals, fancy recipes, and figure out the container count, especially when I was first starting out. Just keep it simple, right? And then from there, you can decide, okay, do I want to switch it up every day? Do I want to make more of my dinner so I can have it left over for lunch? And you can get a good idea of how you want your week to flow based off of what your schedule looks like. So if you know that you're working late one day, maybe you want to have your Shakeology for dinner one day instead of having to rush home and try to make a meal or a meal prep, especially if you're not one for leftovers like I am. I don't like leftovers, so typically if I know I'm working late, I will have a Shakeology as my dinner. Okay? So once you have created your meal plan, the next thing you want to do is translate that into a grocery list. So you're going to go through and say, okay, if I'm going to have scrambled eggs and a piece of fruit and a whole grain slice of toast every day for breakfast, I obviously need to get a dozen eggs, a loaf of bread, and I need to figure out, okay, what fruit do I want and how much of that fruit do I need to get? If I'm going to get berries, how many containers of berries do I need to get? And you start building your shopping list that way. And then once you have your shopping list, you can hit your pantry and your fridge to see what you already have, because you don't want to overbuy. You don't want to spread your budget too thin on trying to eat healthy. See what you already have and what you can accommodate in your meal plan and figure out what you need based off of that. And this will also be a good time to clean out your fridge of all the crap that's in there that's tempting you, and clean out your pantry of all the crap that's tempting you, right? And then once you have your shopping list, you are ready to go. And my final piece of advice for you is, once you have your meal plan written out, and listen, it does not have to be pretty, it does not have to be in Excel, you could literally write it on a sticky note. But my advice to you is, whatever you write your meal plan on, I want you to stick it to your fridge so that you know every single day what you're supposed to be eating. And it also shows you that you have something to look forward to during the week, that you have a new recipe to look forward to, that you have a snack that you're looking forward to, and you can also share that with your family so they kind of know what's going on as far as the meals are concerned, and they can have some type of input in the recipes that you're trying, and what doesn't work and what does work for the family, right? So I hope that this has helped you. I'm also going to post a link to another meal planning video from a fellow Beachbody coach who I think really breaks it down and simplifies it even more than this, right? So I hope that this was helpful. If you have any questions whatsoever, please drop them in the Challenge Tracker app comments, and I will be happy to assist you in any way that I can. All right, ladies, have a great day. Bye.